Good day everyone, my name is Rosemary Armoro. My topic is all about moral deliberation. Moral deliberation will be defined as the detection, filtering, and weighing, consciously or unconsciously, of relevant moral principles, heuristic, or concepts that identify morally relevant features and thereby create a moral context. Lawrence Kohlberg, 1927-1987, the American moral psychologist, theorized the moral development happened in six stages, which he divided into three levels. First, we have pre-conventional level, whose reasoning is centered on the consequence of one's action. When we say pre-conventional, where ethical situations are not part of a broader rule or convention and are isolated. In situations concerning other people are completely a matter of obedience to authority in order to avoid internal punishment. That is all behaviorism is about. That is, human behavior depends on reward and punishment. According to Colbert, it is the lowest level of human development. Stage 2 involves an internalized version, pre-conventional. Thus, while at step 1, humans act based on eternal reward and punishment. Humans' actions are motivated by internal desires. At stage 2, everything is based on our own interests, focusing on here and now and seeking pleasure and avoiding pain from personal wants. Second level, which corresponds to the adolescence age, is conventional. It involves conventions and guiding principles in human moral deliberation. At the first stage of this level, we act in specific ways because we seek approval from others. The second level represents serving an abstract duty. We simply do the right thing because of the obligation we have to the law, society, God, and even our country. We follow the law without questioning the reason. The highest level of moral development is the post-conventional stage, where we want to know the reason behind the rules. In philosophy, this stage is called meta-ethics, which means understanding the reasons, underlining the rules. This stage corresponds to adulthood, and we want to know the nature of morality as a whole, not individual rules. In the fifth level of moral deliberation, we considered ethical commands in the context of the society, where they are prescribed. The rules contribute to the creation of a well-ordered society that provides that means for human to flourish. The sixth and highest stage of the moral development that exists even beyond the fifth stage of social contract is choosing to perform actions based on universal ethical principles that one has determined by herself. One realized that all the conventions, laws, rules, and regulations of society are only correct if they are based on these ethical principles. They must be followed only if they reflect universal ethical principles. The questions of what one ought to do goes back to the individual moral agent and her own rationality. The highest stage of moral development, Kohlberg's insight is that ultimately, one must think for herself what she ought to do. This stand recognizes the supposed fact that there might be instances when the agent must choose to go against what the community of rational thinkers deems as good if she really thinks she must, assuming that she has committed her full rationality in arriving at that decision. This story helps at the very least point out the differences in moral reasoning, the more mature kind is seen in people who are not anymore detected by the logic of reward and punishment, or pain and pleasure. Simply following rules, even if theoretically they are the correct ones, does not necessarily quality as morally mature behavior. One must make free use of her own power of reasoning in creature of blind obedience to either pain and pleasure, or to the demands of the group, if one aspires to moral maturity. For one who will on the way to moral maturity, the task of using one's reason to understand moral issues become real possibility and an authentic responsibility. Part of this maturity is also the realization that ethical thinking is not a completely intellectual task, but one that also involves the feelings.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Dulkair H. Abubakar. I'm here to report my subject in ethics, the title of moral problems. What must a morally mature individual do when he is controlled with the moral problems? And also, some moral problems is to guide the daily living, just make helps and judge our peoples can conduct. We need to appreciate the moral problems. His ordered activities, these questions are must understands that are different. This is the first step. There are three steps of a moral problem. The first step, we enough to take there's a purposeful ethical issues in determine our moral involvement in the case of hand. We need to make a moral decisions in the situations that lead to actions in our part. We are to we are to trying to determine the right way things. We need to try the right things, and we need to do what is doing in the good habits in our mind. That's why we need to proceed to try and determine the right thing in the particular situations being discussed. In other situations, to be making a moral judgments in the particular case, but on the do's not necessary involvement ourselves. We must be reacting about the case that involve other peoples but one are not part of the case. And also, we need to involve ourselves in the reacting about the case because the people are not involved this case. After answering by involvement in the potential moral when we need to make sure of the facts. The first fact the first fact is the establish is the whether we are make the moral situations are not. Some moral situations we are not based on moral situations. We need to based on the first fact to establish is the whether we are not moral situations or not. Are we truly controlled? We are generally moral situations of the moral involves our adjustments in the level of aesthetics of etiquette and therefore it's just a moral of non-ethical questions. Okay, we need to proceed in the moral involvements. There are two types of judgment in the level of aesthetics of etiquette and therefore it's just a moral non-ethical question. And also the third step is to identify all the people who may potentially applications to moral situation. For my own concentrate choice like me, we need to concentrate myself and put in your mind we need to control ourselves. Choose actions and people called this stakeholders. In the particular this identify stakeholders process forces is to give considerations. Okay, we need to give the considerations. This is what we call the stakeholders. Aside from identifying the stakeholders, we must determine find they may affected by what our choice to urgent mind. We need to need we need to we need to proceed the affected in our mind that was a choice. It's ungiven ethical situation as well as what degree. And that's all. Thank you.
I am Gisril Randall, base ED on batch 1. This is all ethics. Okay, this is my report about the value of the studying ethical theories or frameworks. One thing is the role ethical theories, frameworks in the continuing cultivations of one's capacity for moral choices. Okay? A framework for making ethical decisions. So, ano ba talaga ang framework for making ethical decisions? Decisions about right and wrong permeate everyday life. So, malaman mo to sa araw-araw mong ginagawa, sa mga araw-araw mong decisions, or sa lahat na. Ethics should concern all levels like acting properly as individuals, creating responsible organizations and governments, and making our society as a whole moral ethical. Okay? This making our society as a whole moral ethical. This document is designed as introduction to making ethical decisions. It recognizes decisions about right and wrong can be difficult, may be related to individual context. It provides a summary of the major sources for ethical thinking and then presents a framework for decisions making. So, andyan yung decisions about right and wrong can be difficult. O mahirap talaga yung tama ba o mali yung ginagawa mo. So, kailangan marunong kang pumalagay na kung saan ka ba talaga, no? Okay, let's proceed. So, what is ethics? Siyempre, ethics yung topic natin diba? Ethics provides a set standards for behavior that helps us decide how we ought to act in a range of situations. In a sense, we can say that ethics is all about making choices and about providing reasons why we should make this choice. So, yung topic natin ay making choices, morality, or making decisions. Okay, let's proceed. Ethics is sometimes conflated or confused with other ways of making choices, including religion, law, or morality. So, meron palang Okay, let's proceed. Many religions promote ethical decision making but do not always address the full range of ethical choices that we face. Religions may also advocate or prohibit certain behaviors which may not be considered the proper domain of ethics, such as dietary restriction or sexual behaviors. So meron din palang yung religion na hindi sila magkatugma sa ethics, no? Okay? A good system of law should be ethical, but the law establishes precedent in trying to dictate universal guidelines and is thus not able to respond to individual context. So, halos magkaparehilo lang yung religion at saka yung yung batas natin, no? Hindi sila magkatugma sa sa ethics o moral. Law may have difficult time designing or enforcing standards in some important areas and may be slow to address new problems. But law and ethics deal with the question of how we should live together with others. But ethics is sometimes also thought to apply to how individuals act when others are not involved. Sabi na. Finally, many people use the terms morality and ethics interchangeably. Others reserve morality for the state of virtue, with seeing ethics as a code that enables morality. Another way to think about the relationship between ethics and morality is to see ethics as providing a rational basis of morality. That is ethics. No? Provides good reasons for why something is moral. Nasayo lang naman yan kung anong gawin mo. Okay, number 2 is traditional arrangement of the field of ethics. Okay, There are many systems of ethics and numerous ways to think about right and wrong actions or good and bad character. First is the field of ethics is traditionally divided into three areas. First is meta-ethics. So, unsa magre ang meta-ethics, no? Okay. Which deals with the nature of the right or the good, as well as the nature and justifications of ethical claims. Okay. Number 2 is normative ethics, which deals the standards and principles used to determine whether something is right or good. Principle used to determine whether something is right or good. So, may pinagkaiba yung right and or good, no? Ay, hindi pala. Right or good. Okay, pareho lang. Okay. Number 3 is applied ethics, which deals with the actual application of ethical principles to particular situations. So, ito gawin natin para ano natin yung malaman natin yung decision making, no? Okay, let's proceed. While it is helpful to approach the field of ethics in this order, we might keep in mind that this somewhat top-down approach does not exhaust the study of ethics or experience with applying particular ethical standards or principles can inform our understanding of how good these standards or principles are. Okay? There's three broad types of ethical theory.